Okay, we'd like to welcome all those that are online today. So today, 15th of September, we have an unscheduled council meeting. So we'll now go to the affirmation, and Justine Hyde will read the affirmation. Stand for the affirmation.
We recognise the traditional owners of the land. We are inspired by the early pioneers and by those who gave their lives for our country. We now ask God's blessing on our deliberations and on our commitment to build a better lifestyle and environment.
So this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed to council's YouTube channel. The recording will also be made available on council's website. Whilst all care has been taken to ensure that your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. So, number one, apologies and leave of absence. So, Councillor Emerson will hopefully be attending the meeting soon. He just ducked out for a little while, so at the moment he's not an apology. So hopefully he'll attend the meeting soon. So, item 2, disclosures of a conflict of interest at a council meeting. Does anyone have a conflict of interest? No. Right, so item 3.1, preparation of the annual report 2024 to 25. We have an officer's report there, and we have a recommendation. So whoever moves the recommendation will need to add the 2 councillors' names to that recommendation. And someone is able to do that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I move that Council, in accordance with Section 98 and 99 of the Local Government Act 2020, approve in principle the following statements for the 24-25 financial year. Financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2025 and performance statement 2024-25. Also, number 2, authorise Councillor Mayor Karen Heslop and Councillor Karen Probst to certify the 2024-25 statements as detailed in Part 1 of the recommendation in their final form after any changes recommended or agreed to by the Auditor-General have been made and in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger. Do we have someone to second that motion?
I'm happy to second that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. So, Councillor Greenberger, would you like to address the council on the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. The financial statements reflect the position of Council's finances at the end of the financial year. The performance statement contains the results of the prescribed service outcomes and indicators, financial performance indicators and sustainable capacity indicators for the financial year, and is included in the annual report. The financial and performance statements have been prepared in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020 and the Local Government Planning and Reporting Regulations 2020. I commend them to those who would like to read them in the agenda, and I am very comfortable to propose that these reports are in a very good state to now proceed to send them to the Auditor-General. Thank you.
So thank you, Councillor Greenberger. So just for Murray's information, we're just doing item 3.1 and Councillor Greenberger has moved the motion and Councillor Hyde has seconded it. So Councillor Hyde, would you like to add to the, to address the council on the motion?
Nothing to add there. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, any councillor like to speak for or against the motion? So Councillor Greenberg, would you like to sum up?
Yes, thanks. Just to add, Mayor, that it is a regulatory requirement for Council to approve the financial report and performance statement in principle, which is why the motion is in principle, prior to submitting the statements to the Auditor-General's office for the final audit report. So the Audit and Risk Committee recommended that Council approve the financial statements and performance statements for 24-25, and in principle basis after any agreed changes arising from the finalisation of audit are processed. So thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so just have a show of hands. Those in favour? Okay, so that is carried. So item 3.2, Audit and Risk Committee Biannual Activity Report.
I move that Council receives and notes the Audit and Risk Committee biannual report for the 6 months prior to 30 June 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Probst. Someone to second that motion?
Yes, I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. Councillor Probst, would you like to address the Council on the motion?
Peter Knights, the previous chairman of the Audit and Risk Committee, has attached his report to the minutes. Just to highlight a couple of things, there's been a change in the makeup of the committee. Lynn Jens, who's been on the committee since 2018, has retired, and he thanks Lynn very much for her contribution over that time. A couple of things he notes in his report is that we spend a lot of time looking at IT security, and also he raises the issue of the emergency services not new levy, the emergency services levy that's increased dramatically in our rural areas, and notes that the Audit and Risk Committee is needing to look at that to see if it affects our bad debts and our debt collection policies.
Thank you, Councillor Probst. Councillor Blake, would you like to address the Council?
No, I think that Peter done a wonderful job, and that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Okay, any councillor like to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Probst, would you like to sum up? Okay, now ask for a show of hands. Those in favour? That's carried. So item 3.3, delegations and authorisations update. So we have a officer's report there. We have a long recommendation. We just need somebody to move that recommendation.
Okay, get comfortable, everyone. I would like to move that recommendation A, S5, Instrument of Delegation from Council to CEO. In the exercise of the power conferred by S11 (1) (b) of the Local Government Act 2020, Council resolves that 1. There be delegated to the person holding the position or acting in or performing the duties of Chief Executive Officer the powers, duties and functions set out in the attached instrument of delegation to the Chief Executive Officer, subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. 2. The instrument comes into force immediately upon this resolution being made and is to be signed by the Council's Chief Executive Officer and the Mayor. 3. On the coming into force of the instrument, all previous delegations to the Chief Executive Officer are revoked. 4. The duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed, and the powers set out in the instruments must be executed in accordance with any guidelines or policies of Council that it may from time to time adopt. Recommendation B, S, Instrument of Delegation from Council to members of Council staff. In the exercise of powers conferred by the legislation referred to the attached instrument of delegation, Council resolves that 1. They be delegated to the members of Council staff holding, acting in or performing the duties of the office or position referred to in the attached instrument of delegations to members of council staff, the powers, duties and functions set out in that instrument, subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. 2. The instrument comes into force immediately upon this resolution being made and is to be signed by the Council's Chief Executive Officer. 3. On the coming into force of the instrument, all previous delegations to members of Council staff other than the CEO are revoked. 4. The duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed and the powers set out in the instrument must be executed in accordance with the guidelines or policies of Council that it may from time to time adopt. C. S. 11A, Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation under the Planning and Environmental Act 1987. That in the exercise of powers conferred by Section 147 (4) of the Planning and Environmental Act 1987, Council resolves that the members of Council staff referred to in the attached instrument be appointed and authorised as set out in the instrument. The instruments come into force immediately upon this resolution being made and are to be signed by the Council's Chief Executive Officer and the Mayor, and the instruments remain in force until Council determines to vary or revoke them or the officer's employment with the Northern Grampians Shire Council ceases.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Just somebody to second that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Probes. Councillor Hyde, did you want to address the council on the motion?
I think to keep it a little bit shorter, just to sum up that there's a delegations update and that under Section CS11A, the last point that I made, Instrument of Appointment of Authorisation, the nominated officers are Kelly Jansen, Luke Gavin and Thomas Davis by resolution. Prudent to Section 147 of the Planning and Environmental Act 1987. Nothing further to add.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Probes, would you like to speak to the motion? Any councillor would like to speak for or against the motion? Okay, so I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? No, that's carried. Right, 3.4, Grampians Health Community Advisory Committee representatives. So we have a recommendation there.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move that Council appoints a councillor as a representative to the Grampians Health Community Advisory Committee, and that councillor be Mayor Karen Heslop.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger, and I'm willing to accept that appointment. So somebody who's happened to second that motion?
I'm also happy to second that motion. Thank
you, Councillor Hyde. So, Councillor Greenberger, would you like to address Council on the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Grampians Health, as we all know, is the main provider of healthcare in Stawell through the Stawell Hospital, and we are very pleased that they are going to continue to arrange for a community advisory committee which reports directly to the Grampians Health Board. I believe that Council, it's very much in Council's interest to have a representative as part of that community advisory committee in order to keep communication channels open so that Mayor Heslop, as she attends that meeting, can come back to Council with any relevant information that concerns directly the Stawell community, and for us to act along with other members on that community advisory committee to make sure that the Grampians Health Board hears directly about any issues that are particularly affecting the Stawell community. Thank you, Mayor. That'll do for now.
Well said. Councillor Hyde.
I would just like to add that I think the appointment of yourself is a perfect fit with your health and medical background, and so it's a perfect situation that you're able to be that link for us. So,
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. So any councillors wish to speak for or against the motion? Okay, Councillor Greenberg, would you like to sum up?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank Mayor Hislop, who has served on that committee in the past, so she's very familiar with its operations, and I would like to pass on my thanks for her willingness to go on to that committee again. So thank you.
Okay, so I'll now put that to the vote. Show of hands, those in favour? Okay, that's carried. So we now go into item 4, closure of meeting pursuant to section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020, as we have two items that we wish to discuss in closed council. So we just need a resolution to move into closed council.
I move that the meeting be closed to consider the items listed pursuant to section 66 of the Local Government Act 2020, as it deals with confidential information as detailed in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Probst. Is someone to second that motion?
Yes, I strongly support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. So just a show of hands, those in favour? Okay, that's carried. We'll now move into closed council. Okay, now we'll now get the Chief Executive Officer to report on items discussed in closed council.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased to report on the two items. 4.1, Council Award Contract C25003, External Plant and Equipment Hire for Civil Works, and appoints the following contractors on the panel as recommended by the evaluation panel: AP Earth Moving, Armstrong Concrete Stall Limited, Build Group and Build Infrastructure Limited, Brook Hire Services Limited, Civi Hire Limited, Deca Contracting Limited, Grampians Pastoral Limited, Graham Mackay Earthworks, HGP Civil, Highway Oz Limited, Jared Ezard Construction, Keystone Civil Holdings, Lebcon Limited, On-Tract Rentals Limited, Pipe Doctor Australia, PJM Machinery, Procorp Rental and Sales Operations, Reeve Earth Moving Limited, Rec Civil Limited, Rollers Australia Limited, S. Bolsen Earth Moving Limited, Smith and Will Asphalting, TBD Agricultural Trading Limited, Trustees of DA and DM Maloney Family Trust, Trustees of Darrell Martin Family Trust, Trustees of Parkin Family Trust, Untie Southern Limited, United Rentals Australia Limited, Warren Earth Moving Limited, Wim Vic Services Limited. 4.2, the Council awards contract C25006, Plant Replacement Program, and accepts submissions from the following tenderers for supply and delivery: one new street sweeping without trade-in to Butcher Municipal Limited for their submitted sum price. Secondly, two new tractors with front wheel assist with trade-ins to JJ O'Connell and Sons, St Arnaud, I assume, for their submitted lump sum price. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you. There being no further business, I will declare the meeting closed at 12:54 p.m.